Good evening, my dear kids. In today's class, in the chapter electrostatics, we are going to discuss the topic F equal to QE part B, the discussion what we had earlier, that one. So in the previous class, we had a nice discussion about the different types of problems like how the electrostatics is mixed with other concepts. The same particular thing is what I'm going to continue here. Okay, let me take you to the screen. Okay, let me begin with the problem. Yeah, I think screen is visible. Already it's a pre-written, already explained for one of the class, the same content is available. So we have here let me take a pointer. I think yeah, a non-conducting ring of mass m. Okay, where is that ring? This one, a non-conducting ring of mass m and radius r with charge per unit lambda is as shown. So there's a charge present only in this region. In this quarter, positive charge. Okay, and here a negative charge is present. Then I'll switch on electric field equal to E naught I cap is switched on, and the ring starts rolling without sliding. Determine the frictional force, magnitude, and direction acting on the ring. Okay, what is our the ring? This is a ring. Let me show that thick line, because once you see this is a ring, so rest all the concept of torque and rotation mechanics we are going to introduce. Okay, all of you are able to see this. This is a ring, may not be perfect shape. Okay, I do have this a ring. Then here the quarter circle is positively charged and the other quarter circle is negatively charged here. I'll switch on an uniform electric field. Okay, are you able to notice here? There's uniform electric field. I'll switch on this uniform electric field strength. Then is asking to get the friction. Okay, let's do one thing. Let me assume two symmetric elements. Here one element I assumed it. Here one element I assumed it. So let the length of this element be ds and it will have a charge dq. Similarly, I'm going to assume one more element here and it will also have a charge dq. So here these elements I'll shade it because the colors dq charge. There's a ds. Let me write all the things. It'll be easy for you. Okay, no. Okay, fine. I got all the things. Let me proceed with my explanation. I'm going to assume two elements. One element here of length ds. The other element also symmetric element, the length ds. So they'll make an angle theta. These two will be theta. Then this is a negative charge, no? So how the force explained by that element will be opposite to the electric field. So the force will be in this direction. What about this? There's a positively charged element. So it will experience a force in this direction. Plus df. This df acting on this positive charge element will be in the direction of electric field. These two elements will set up a torque about this point. How the torque will be clockwise by this positively charged element. Negative charged element, this also will set up a torque about 0.2. It will also be clockwise. So the resultant torque acting on the ring will be clockwise. Okay, we have here tau E. Then after this, what is the net force on this ring? Plus dF minus dF. So what is the net force? Net force in fact is zero. Net electrostatic force I'm saying. Net electrostatic force in fact will be zero. Then only force only that is acting is the torque about 0.2. Okay, let's calculate here. Torque due to electrostatic force. Okay, dF into y. Y will be perpendicular distance. Then again, if you look at uh, this triangle, you try to see this one. Cos theta equal to y by r. So therefore, y is equal to r cos theta. You can write that is what I wrote it here. R cos theta. Then 2 lambda. So this will be 2 lambda ds. Okay, this dq is what? dq will be lambda into linear charge density. The charge on this element should be equal to lambda linear charge density into length of the element. So this dq is what I'm replacing lambda ds e r cos theta. Further, what is ds? Arc length. I think I need smaller pen. Let me take the d theta. ds is equal to r d theta. So here, in place of ds, what will write? R d theta. So therefore, the torque, electrostatic force, what is this? About 0.2. What is 0.2? Center of the ring. Okay, further, 2 lambda r square e cos theta d theta. Where the charge is present? The charge is present from here to here, no? 0 to pi by 2. I think the dot is appearing. The charge is present from what should be the limit? This will be theta equal to 0 degree line. This is theta equal to pi by 2. So what should be the limit? The charge is present in the from 0 to pi by 2. So the limit will be 0 to pi by 2. Integral of cos theta sine theta, upper limit pi by 2 and lower limit 0, sine pi by 2 will be 0. So substituting that, I'll end up torque due to electrostatic force in this direction. What about the sense? Clockwise. Now, what is this enter? The whole ring will experience it torque due to electrostatic force. And how it will be? Clockwise. So therefore, the point of contact will have backward slipping. So because of that, the friction will act in the forward direction. The friction here will act in forward direction. Okay, now this friction will accelerate the center of mass. So I am going to write F equal to ma naught. Now what is the total resultant torque that will be acting? Torque due to electrostatic force clockwise and torque due to the friction will be anti-clockwise. F into R. Why negative sign? In fact, the idea is like this. So the counterclockwise torque, I'll take it to be negative. So torque due to electrostatic force, we know this. I'm going to substitute here 2 lambda r square ER. What is I naught? I naught into alpha naught. What is I naught ring? For a ring, what is the moment of inertia? mr square. Okay. Then solving this, we'll get expression for acceleration of center of the ring, which is equal to 2 ma naught r equal to lambda r square e, that one. R get cancels. So a naught is equal to how much? R e by A naught equal to R alpha, that I substituted. A naught is equal to, how much will be lambda R E by M. Then we know what is F. Who will accelerate the center of mass? The friction. So F should be equal to M A naught. So A naught is equal to how much lambda R E by M. So this will be the magnitude of frictional force. So this will be our answer. Okay, I think I written twice. I'll take it out. Huh? Unnecessary confusion for you. So many steps. Okay, this is about the rolling. Just we are bringing some electrostatic force can set up a torque. This is the idea. This is what I wanted to just conclude here. Electrostatic forces can set up even the torque also. Okay, now we'll go for the next question. The complete question is visible. Okay, let me read. Okay, let me take this one here. Two stiff non-conducting rods have length L. Okay, these are the rods. Each and have small balls connected to their ends. These are the small balls. The rods placed parallel to each other and the balls are connected by two identical springs as shown. Okay, these are the springs. So what is the spring constant of that? Okay, I think I'll take some. So this will be the spring constant. Then, okay, this is a spring constant. Okay, now, and the balls are connected by two identical springs as shown. So these are the identical springs. When each ball is given a charge Q, the system stays in equilibrium. When it is in the shape of a square, the system stays in equilibrium when it is in the shape of a square. So here is what the square I have. If natural relaxed length of each spring is L by 2, find the force constant K for them. Okay, I think you got it. The moment I release the system. So initially what happened, what is the state of springs? Both they are relaxed. Then the moment I release them, because of electrostatic force, so what will happen to the spring? It will get elongated. The spring will get elongated. Now, why do it get elongated? Look at the electrostatic force, how we have. Look at the electrostatic force. So this will be F12, why F12? Because I give number charges 1, 2, 3, 4. All they are like charges. So the F12 will be in this direction. Repulsive force. Similarly, F21 in this direction. Similarly here, F14, repulsive force. Similarly, F23. Then 1 and 3 like charges. So this will be F13. Then F24. Okay, got it. Okay, now finally they'll attain equilibrium. What will happen to the length of the spring? It becomes square frame. It's telling that everything will become a square frame. Then how much elongation of the spring should be? L by 2. Because earlier, what was the length of this one? Earlier the length was in fact equal to L by 2. This is the idea. Now, what is the length of the spring? L. So what is elongation? Should be L by 2. I think this is a very important part of the problem here. So if the spring is elongated, how the spring forces will act here. Then they are in equilibrium. For it to be equilibrium, what are the conditions? We'll write it. Okay, now we have from the electrostatics F12 equal to F14. F12 equal to F14, F21 equal to F23. So these forces must be of equal magnitude. Getting this one. Okay, now what is that K naught? K naught is what? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. I think this is very important because we do have K is the spring constant. K naught will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Fine. Now, after this, okay, let's come. Similarly, what about the forces acting along the diagonal F13? F13 should be equal to K naught Q square by what is this diagonal length L root 2? So that is what here we wrote L root 2. So square of that will be 2L square. So these are the forces. Now, spring force, what it do? It should balance F12 plus F13 cos 45. So what is F12? We'll substitute this value here. Okay. Then what is F13? K naught Q square by 2L square. This value here. Substituting and solving for K, we'll get the required answer. Just simple means like even a spring force will also come in the electrostatics. Just the person who has made this question, he wanted to bring the ideas of this kind. These are the rods. What is the role of the rod? They just see that the distance between charges 1, 4 and 2, 3 will remain equal to L. You need not to bother about anything further. Fine. Okay, let me take the next question. This 3-point charges Q1 equal to Q, Q2 equal to Q, and Q3 equal to capital Q are placed at points having position vector R1 bar, R2 bar, and R1 plus R2 bar respectively. It is known that R1 bar, R2 bar is equal to R bar. The net electrostatic force on Q3 is root 3 times the force applied by either Q1 or Q2 on Q3. Find R1 bar dot R2 bar. Is asking the dot product of R1 bar, R2 bar. Okay, let me get into the question. Now, so what we have, there's a point charge is kept, Q1. The position vector of this will be R1 bar. Then a point charge Q2 is kept. The position vector of this will be R2 bar. Fine. Then the other point charge Q3 will be kept at a position vector of R1 bar plus R2 bar. Now, what is the force of interaction between 1 and 3? F31 should act along the side of one of the parallelogram. The force of interaction between 2 and 3, Q2 and Q3 should act along line joining them, F32. Okay, then, so what you're telling is like this resultant force, F3 should be equal to F31, and is telling that resultant force how much? Root 3F. That was the data given. So we'll take the resultant of these two, the vector sum of these two, F31, F32. What is the angle between R1 bar and R2 bar? It is in fact theta. So angle between F31 and F32 should be cos theta. We have that magnitude of forces equal to. So what are the magnitude of forces? F31 equal to F32 equal to F. Substituting, we'll get the cos theta, which is equal to 60 degrees. Okay, let me take the dot product. R1 bar, R2 bar equal to R1, R2. In fact, R1 equal to R2 equal to R. So what is dot product of R1 bar dot R2 bar? Should be equal to R square by 2. Just some based on mass. Yeah. So one more good question, which will trouble you mathematically here. Okay, let's go for this question. Okay, uh, two unequal masses, m1 equal to m and m2 equal to m, have unequal positive charges on them. They are suspended by a two massless threads of unequal lengths from a common point such that in equilibrium both the masses are on same horizontal level. The angle between two strings is 45 degrees in this position. Find the electrostatic force applied by m1 on m2 in this position. Yeah, this condition is very important. This is one mass. I think you are able to see this. Okay, this one. Then that particular diagram is what here? Okay, now you can see things clearly. So what we have here is T1. So it's in equilibrium. So the weight m1g will act here. Electrostatic force Fe. As electrostatic force is a mutual Fe and Fe. The weight of the second particle m2g. The tension the strings, let it be T1 and T2. The angle made by the strings with vertical, let it be alpha 1, alpha 2. Got the idea? This one. Okay, now, like a, looking at the for equilibrium, T1 sine alpha 1 should balance M1G. Oh, sorry, T1 sine alpha 1 should balance Fe. Got it? Similarly, T1 cos alpha 1, component of tension along y-axis. T1 cos alpha 1 should balance M1G. See this. Let me divide these two. So tan alpha 1 equal to Fe by M1G. Then similarly for second particle, T2 sine alpha 2 should be equal to Fe. T2 cos alpha 2 should be equal to M2G. Then tan alpha 2. Let me divide these two equations. Tan alpha 2 equal to Fe by Mg will come. Let me take the pointer. Yeah, Fe by Mg. You have all the things. Okay, these two equations are there. What is asking? Find the electrostatic force applied by M1 on M2 in this position. Is asking to calculate this Fe. So what is Fe? Electrostatic mutual attractive force between them should be equal to F equal to K Q1 Q2 by R square. What is R? R is the separation between them. Then what we should do? We don't know how much alpha 1, alpha 2. Am I right? I know alpha 1 plus alpha 2 is 45 degrees. Alpha 1 plus alpha 2 is alpha 1 plus alpha 2 is 45 degrees. Again, we should calculate alpha 1, alpha 2. So this will be little bit, calculations will be lengthy. So therefore, let me go for other approach. What is a tan A plus B? Tan alpha 1 plus tan alpha 2 should be equal to tan A plus tan B, 1 minus tan A tan B. Okay, what is tan alpha 1? Fe by M1G. Take help of this. What is tan alpha 2? Tan alpha 2 should be Fe by, this should be the Fe. It has some correction. Fe by M2G. Okay, then let me go for the pointers. No. So Fe M1G plus Fe M2G. Then 1 minus, okay, then again tan alpha 1, tan alpha 2, I'll substitute using these values. So finally, solving that, I'll end up with this way or answer. This will be our answer. Okay, some very math-based question. So he just wanted to test like how students will manage this R. So don't calculate R. It will be very lengthy. Don't calculate R. Don't go for calculation of R. Better to use this method. Okay, see the next question. Yeah. A smooth fixed rod is inclined. Okay, there's a rod indicated at an angle theta to the horizontal. At bottom end of the rod, there is a fixed charge plus Q. I think you are unable to see. I'll put it. There's a bead of mass M having charge Q that can slide freely on the rod. So where is the bead? There's a bead. The equilibrium separation bead from the fixed charge Q is x naught. Find the frequency of oscillation of the bead if it displaced a little from its equilibrium position. There's a gravity is acting. May not be, he has not mentioned the question. Let it be this one. Okay, first we'll do one thing. What makes it to be in equilibrium? The electrostatic, look at the first diagram. I'm going to use first and second diagram. Look at the first diagram. The electrostatic force, I think the dot, try to look at the moment of dot. The electrostatic force, look at the dot here. The electrostatic force, the electrostatic repulsive force, F naught. Here is what you have, F naught. F naught should be balanced by mj sine theta. This is a fixed here. This will be fixed. This bead is a movable. So the repulsive force will be acting here. So this F naught should be balanced by mg sine theta. So at equilibrium, what we can write it as F naught equal to mg sine theta. What is F naught? From electrostatics, K Q by x naught square. What is x naught? The separation between the bead and the fixed point charge at equilibrium. This is x naught. Keep this in mind. Now, I'm going to slightly displace the bead along the rod and release, and it's going to execute SHM. I displaced it. If I release, it's going to execute SHM. The time period of oscillations of that has to be determined. Okay, now when I slightly displace by distance r, then what will happen to electrostatic force? Will increase because F is proportional to 1 by r square. If r decreases, force should increase. So now this F will become greater than mg sin theta. The resultant acceleration will be along the rod. So this F minus mg sin theta will become a restoring force. So if I can show that acceleration proportion proportional to negative of displacement, I'll get the time period. This idea of the problem. Okay, how to manage that is what we have a mathematics here. I'll come to the. I think you are able to see the complete problem. Look at here now. So MA is equal to F minus mg sin theta. MA is equal to F minus mg sin theta. What is MA and what is further F for this position? K capital Q small q by x square minus mg sin theta. So what is mg sin theta? Should be equal to K capital Q small q by x naught square. Substituting that 1 by x square minus 1 by x naught square. What is x from here? What is x? X should be equal to x naught minus r. So therefore, I'm going to substitute here now. 1 by x square minus 1 by x naught square. So what is x is equal to? X is equal to, oh, so sorry, x not equal to x by r. So x equal to x is equal to x naught minus r from the diagram. So I'll substitute here. 1 by x is equal to 1 by x naught minus r. Okay, let me take x naught common. Some of you are telling, sir, not visible. Okay, okay, now I think fine. Let me take x naught common. So x naught square 1 minus r by x naught square. I'll send this to numerator. Then how much it will become? A is equal to kq 1 minus r by x naught to the power of minus 2, 1. Then the simplification part. Okay, is it okay? Fine. I'll go back to the original thing where we have started. Okay, the expression for acceleration A should be equal to this much here. Okay, now this binomial expansion R will be very much less than R. In fact, I'll give very small displacement. So we'll get minus of minus. This will be positive plus 2R by x naught. So finally, this will be 2kq small q R by mx naught q. Comparing with the equation of SHM, we'll end up with omega square. The time period is given by this one. It's going to execute SHM here. Very simple problem. Some mathematics is what you have to, little bit you have to be alert. Let's get into the different. A thin, rigid, insulating ring of radius r. This is what the ring. The pink color circle, what you see, is a ring. As a very small gap. Are you looking at this? The dot where I'm pointing, a gap is there of length L, very much less than r, and carries a uniformly distributed charge Q. It's a positive charge. You can see from here. The ring is attached in free space and a uniform electric field E in the plane of the ring and parallel to gap is switched on as shown in figure. Find the maximum angular speed of the ring in subsequent motion. I think this entire, the whole diagram, I'm showing it here in this way. Okay, now this is a electric field E vector, E bar vector. Okay, this is a ring. Look at the gap. How the gap will be such a way that it will be directed along E bar. The gap will be parallel to E bar. I'm going to release from rest. Now tell me what will happen. Now definitely what I can say that the force, net force, it is made to rotate. Or you can say that the ring is hinged about O, so it can have only rotational motion. The ring can rotate about point O, about its center. Okay, fine. So that O is what? Let me indicate here. No, let's get into the this one. Now theta equals 0. This vertical line is what? Theta equals 0 degree. I'll define. Let me assume two elements, symmetric elements here. So what force is acting? The same force will act on this. So what about the torque? The net torque, in fact, will be 0 or non-zero. Yes, due to this element, it will be 0. Due to this part, what torque that will act due to this one? What torque that will act due to this arc? Equal and opposite will act due to this arc. This idea. So how do you can say? So we'll take elements. This is one element. So the torque by these two about O will be equal and opposite. Similarly, the torque by these two about point O will be equal and opposite. So therefore, the torque set up by electrostatic force due to charge on this arc about 0.2 should be equal and opposite to this arc. So therefore, what all torque will be only due to the length of a ring that is equal to gap. So AB should be equal to CD. The net torque on the ring is only due to arc CD is telling. And what is length arc CD? Equal to the length of the gap. Arc length CD is equal to arc length of gap AB. This is very important. No. Okay, there's the initial part. Now what will happen to the ring finally? So the ring what starts rotating. Why do it rotate? Why do it rotate? Next question comes. What makes it to rotate? Okay, let's do one thing. There's a torque acting. So this F into R small r, it will set up a torque about 0.2 in clockwise. So it will start rotating. Then the same arc length CD and the gap is here. These diagrams are very important. This arc length. When the gap becomes vertical, the CD will be also vertical because AB and CD should be always opposite. Then now what I can say that the ring is having maximum angular velocity, because for this position it will have the torque will be decreasing, but the angular velocity will be keep on increasing. Now here in this position, the ring will have maximum angular velocity. Very next moment you come for this one. How the torque will be clockwise about 0.2, and how the omega was counterclockwise, so therefore the omega start decreasing. So what is the conclusion now? Theta omega increases. Then next, what we write here? Theta omega decreases. Agree this for theta greater than. So this what now that it starts decreasing because it will undergo retardation. No retardation. Or here only I'll write it. Angular acceleration. Angular retardation. Okay, is asking that maximum angular velocity. We have to calculate that omega max. Okay, let me come to the sum. Okay, let me come to this position. Let me take the pointer. I can explain easily. Oh, where is the green color one? Yeah. Is it visible? Hello? Yeah, no. So torque about 0.2 about this point by this applied force. How much it should be equal to F cos theta, component of force. I'll take some other colors. Oh, where is that? Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, F cos theta, F sin theta. So F cos theta into small r will be the torque. So what is the torque equal to? Now torque about point O should be equal to I naught into alpha naught mr square alpha naught. What is F? What is F? F should be equal to the electric field strength E by the charge present in the length CD. So lambda into L, because AB is equal to CD. Already I mentioned arc length is equal to arc length of the gap. So how much of charge present on the arc length CD should be equal to lambda L. So therefore F should be equal to Q into E. So what is Q? Lambda into L. So R gets eliminated. So we'll get this as alpha naught, where alpha naught is omega d omega by d theta dt equal to E lambda L mr cos theta. Let me simplify for omega d omega. E lambda L mr cos theta d theta dt d theta. So when do it will have maximum angular velocity? When theta becomes 90 degrees. So the limit will be 0 to pi by 2. Integral of cos theta will be sin theta. So this quantity will become 1. So maximum angular speed of the ring will be 2e lambda L mr. A very nice problem is testing even to analyze also here. Huh? Okay, we'll have the next question. Okay, I do have there's a charge ring of linear charge density lambda 1, and we have a semi-infinite line charge. What is the question? Find the force of interaction between the ring and the semi-infinite rod. The force of interaction is asking. So one end of the rod is at center of the ring, the other end is at infinity, and the rod lies along the axis of the ring. You can see this. So what is this one? This particular point is in fact an axis. It is. Okay, no. So let me write it here. Yeah. So where the rod is lying along the axis of ring. So what is a method like? What is a method? So what we do is like, so what we can do is like, I'll assume a small element dq, small elemental length on the rod. Then I'll find out first force on that small element. Then I'll integrate x equal to 0 to infinity. I'll get the total force acting on the rod. Force on line charge by ring. So what is the method? I'll assume a small element dq2. Then what is the electric field strength on the axis given by formula k q1 r square x square to the power of 3 by. I think you know this formula. Into what is the dq? Lambda 2 into dx. Length of this element is how much? Is in fact equal to lambda 2 into dx. So integrating, okay, we'll get it. So some integration is what we have to take care here. The problem can be solved, no doubt. But you should be very good in integration. Integration idea is needed. Can I avoid this? Yes, I do have another alternative. So what I assume is like this line charge. How do it produce field? So there are two components, no? One E parallel. What is E parallel? Component of E bar parallel to the rod. And this is in fact a ring. And other component will be perpendicular to the rod. How the parallel component? Everywhere the parallel component will be perpendicular to the plane of the ring. You can see from here. And we know magnitude of E parallel, E perpendicular due to semi-infinite line charge, lambda 2 by 4 pi epsilon naught r. So what I do is like in a very simplified way. What about the perpendicular component? Due to perpendicular component, the net force should be 0. Only due to parallel component, the ring is going to experience a force. There's a ring, in fact. Getting this one. Okay, now how to calculate that one? So what we do is like, due to E perpendicular, the net force on the ring will be 0. Due to E perpendicular, the net force, the force you write it, the force on the ring is 0. So what all the force will be due to E parallel? So what I do is like I'll assume what is the total charge on the ring? So lambda 1 equal to Q1 by 2 pi r, or total charge on the ring. So what is the total charge on the ring? Lambda 1 into 2 pi r. Then what is E parallel? Lambda 2 by 4 pi f naught. Solving this will get the answer. So how you are writing? What is the total charge? Because at all points, the E parallel, at all points on the ring, what is the magnitude of E parallel will be same. At all points on the ring, the magnitude of E parallel will be the same. So therefore, charge into the electrostatic field, component of field. There are two approaches. One, the mathematics by using the integration. Other is by assuming the ring in the field of line charge. So here, what is the first approach? The first approach is we are assuming line charge present in the field of the ring. This is what this one. What about here? The ring is present in the field of line charge. This what here. Which will be much easier, I think, the second method. This will be our answer. Very, very simple, some math based one. No, we'll take the four identical charges plus Q are kept at vertices of a soap film of surface tension ST. As shown, the soap film is in equilibrium. Find the surface tension. These are the point charges are there. They are kept at the vertices of a soap film. Now we know, like, how come the due to surface tension the film what pen will collapse? No, then what made it to be in equilibrium? What made it to be in equilibrium? The method is simple. Actually, the so how the force due to surface tension should be radially, or so like it should be like this everywhere. This is the force due to surface tension. We have the charges here. No, this will be positive charge. Now, if there is no electrostatic charges, the entire soap film would have collapsed due to this cohesive attractive force exerted by the molecules. Then let me take this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Or A, B, C, D is what I took it. A, this is B, this is C, this is D. So electrostatic force FAB, FAD. Then FAC. Similarly on this, FBD, FBA, FBC. How come this film will be in equilibrium? Over balancing, so this angle should be 45. This should be 45. Then what is the condition here? The force due to surface tension the force due to surface tension. So what is the force due to surface tension will act here? The force due to surface tension, who should balance? The electrostatic force, the resultant electrostatic force. How the force due to surface tension will act vertically down on this part of the film. That should be balanced by the electrostatic force. So here electrostatic force component of FBD plus FBC. So how it will be now? And look at the FAD should be equal to FAD, should be equal to FBC, FBA. FAD, this is FAB. I'll change it. No, this is FAB. So FAB, FBA, FBC, FAD should be equal and equal to KQ square by D square. And these are the diagonals. The interaction along the diagonal should be equal to FAC should be equal to FAC should be equal to FBD. KQ square by root 2 D square. Then let's come for how come this film will be in equilibrium? How come this film will be in equilibrium? The force due to surface tension should balance the net electrostatic force. Got it? So what is the force due to electrostatic force? FAD plus 2FAC cos 45 plus FBC plus FBD cos 45. This is what I wrote it here. FAD plus FAC cos 45. FBC plus FBD cos 45. This everything is electrostatic force. Let me give two different colors. It'll be easy for you to really understand. I don't know something. Yeah, this one. At least I'll write like this. It will be very easy for you to follow. What is the force due to surface tension? 2 times of, I think something happened. 2 times of STD. Why 2? Because 2 surface, one what you are seeing and other one the below. The film will have 2 surfaces due to 2 surfaces. Okay, that's why this 2 is there. Okay, let's all substituting these values here. Pointer is there. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is like this FAD equal to FBC. So 2 FAD, these two are equal. Similarly, these two are equal. Then substituting FAD as this value. And here, solving that, we'll get expression for surface tension. Okay, this will be our answer. I think the surface tension electrostatics is what introduced. Now you can ask question like, this is the curved one. How come you're writing D? I think the effective length. What is the effective length of this curved part? Should be equal to D. That's what we have done. I think that this what in surface tension you might have come across. We have to go for the effective length from A to B. What is the effective length will be D. You should not take this curvature length. You should take the effective length equal to T. Okay, now let's go for one more problem. We have here uniform non-conducting rod of mass m and length L with charge density lambda as shown in diagram. One end of the rod is positively charged. The other end of the rod is negatively charged here. Half of the length of the rod is positively charged. Remaining half of the length is negatively charged. Then is engineered the midpoint at origin so that it can rotate in a horizontal plane without friction. Uniform electric field exists parallel to x-axis in the entire region. Calculate the period of small oscillations of the rod. We have to find out the time period of oscillations of the rod. Let me, earlier, what was the position? The rod was in this position. Now I'll going to rotate it. So now this position is what it's shown. Now it's the rod is given some angular displacement theta in counterclockwise about O. Then you come to this position. So now let's assume two elements in the positive or in the positive half of the rod. Let me assume one element, and in the negative charged part of the rod, let me assume another element. Let me indicate that charge clearly. It's not visible. So this is the negatively charged part of the rod. This is a positively charged. So the length is L by 2. L by 2. Let me give better description of the question so that it'll be easy for you. Okay, now you look at the this part. So I'll assume a small element. Then the force on that element will be towards right because a positively charged a positively charged element, or the force will be acting will be in the direction of electrostatic force. No, so dF should be equal to dq into E. Positive charge will experience the force, electrostatic force, in the direction of electric field. What about if the negative charge? The force will be opposite to the electric field. That's what you can see here. Why on the negative charge element towards left? Because of this condition. And what is further dq? Dq should be equal to lambda into dx. Then what shall we do after this? This distance is y, where sine theta equal to y by x, or y equal to x sine theta. Let's see about the torque about point 2. Both the forces will set up a torque. Okay, dF into y will be clockwise torque. dF into y, this also y. The distance will be y. So dF into y will be again clockwise. So the net torque, and what is y further? X sine theta. So how come I am writing directly? How come I'm writing directly? So what is the basic idea now? D tau should be equal to dF into y. What is y? Okay, let me use the, let me change the nib of the pen. It looks very odd writing such a bold letter. So d tau should be equal to dF into y. What about this distance? This should be y. Again, the same, this will be theta. So further, dF into x sine theta. Look at both the torque due to both positive due to this positively charged element and due to negatively charged element should be clockwise. So therefore, I'm writing 2 times of df(x) sine theta. I think now further what you can write df as e dq, further dq as lambda dx. Okay, let me highlight things. So these are some very important things are there. So what is df? Oh, I think this highlighter. Yeah, there's a df. Df will become e dq. What is further e dq? E dq should be equal to e lambda dx. Now, try to follow the sequence here. Then 2e lambda. Why this sine theta? I think sine theta has come from here because of this one. So 2e lambda dx x sine theta, or 2e lambda sine theta x dx will come. So what is the length of the rod? What is the limit should be? X should be from 0 to L by 2. And here x equal to 0 to L by 2. So this end of the rod is L by 2. Sorry, this is x equal to 0, no? I'll give one more diagram. I do like to explain everything through diagram, so that will be very easy instead of assuming so many things. So what should be the limit? The positive charge, what should be the limit? 0 to L by 2. Fine, the limit. Then this should be equal to the torque about point 2 equal to 2e lambda. Integral of x dx will be x square by 2. Substituting upper and lower limit, L square by 4. Okay, what is moment of inertia? Torque tau naught should be equal to I naught into alpha naught. What is I naught? Moment of inertia of the rod about the midpoint. So alpha naught equal to E lambda L square sine square theta 4 into what is the moment of inertia of the rod about its center, rod of mass and length, ml square by 12. Substituting all, we'll get this alpha. Look at now this. How is alpha naught? Theta was given like this. How is alpha naught? In this direction. So in fact, a negative sign has to be here. It's a restoring torque. Well, let me introduce negative sign now. So finally, what is alpha? Alpha equal to 3e lambda by m theta. Comparing with the equation of SHM, omega square will get it as then t equal to 2 pi by omega. So what is this quantity? This will be the time period. This will be our answer. Let me adjust it fully. Okay, there's some based on a particle of mass m and charge q projected with a speed u at an angle theta above horizontal. After traveling a horizontal distance x naught, enters a region where, in addition to gravity, a uniform static horizontal electric field also exists. Boundary of this region is vertical. This is a boundary. Let me write it. This is calling boundary. vertical. If after some time the particle returns to the point of projection, what is the point of projection? O is a point of projection. Find the magnitude of electric field strength and time of flight of the particle. Okay, just based on kinematics. So what is the only basic idea of electrostatics is F equal to Q E bar. The rest all everything is what will I'll be taking help of kinematics. I think you are able to see the. We'll go for the pointer. A little bit it'll be easy for me to point things. Now let's come for this one. So the charge particle is projected with a speed u at an angle theta. So then in the presence of gravity is present, only gravity is present here. So it's going to describe a parabolic path and it will reach the boundary. It's a positive charge particle. This one. So this distance is x naught. So what is the time taken to move from O to A? Let it be TOA. So time taken to move from O to A. For path OA, will define the quantities. So what was the horizontal component of velocity? U sine theta. Sorry, vertical component, horizontal component, U cos theta. So then what is a V sine phi? So what is the time taken to move from O to A? So I'll apply equations of motion. When it reaches point A, vertical component of this will be V sine phi. Initial U sine theta. Here we have U sine theta minus G TOA. I'll apply equations of motion for the parabolic path from O to A. This one. Agree this? Okay, there's a time taken TOA. Let it be here. Then afterwards, what happened? We have addition to gravity. There'll be also static electric field. Then what is telling? It's going to return to point of projection. So what is the path? It's going to describe parabolic path. Afterwards, for it to retrace path, it should move in a straight line path here. And it will somewhere will come to rest at point B. And that point B will be instantaneous rest. This is very important. So why straight line path? Because of electric field and gravity. The resultant force on the particle is such that it will undergo retardation and finally comes to instantaneous rest at point B. Then again, because of gravity and electric field, it will retrace path. It will have the same velocity. Then parabolic path, it will return back to point O. This one. So this will be 0 minus V sine phi minus G TAB. V sine phi minus G. V sine phi minus G TAB. This is for path AB is what we applied. The equation. Okay, fine. So solving 1 and 2. So V sine phi solving 1 and 2. So G TAB is equal to U sine theta minus G TOA. So let me bring this G TOA onto LHS side. G TAB plus TOA equal to U sine theta, or time taken to move from O to A, then A to B is equal to U sine theta by G. So what is the total time of flight as it retraces path? Total time of flight TOA plus AB BA plus AO. It should be twice of this one. What time will take to move from O to A to B? Same time will take to move from B to A and A to O. So this will be the time of flight, 2U sine theta by G. So first thing is asking time of flight of the particle. Okay, we have derived it. Next after this. The next part of the problem is asking to get the magnitude of electric field. Electric field strength vector, its magnitude has to be determined. This is what this E. This E bar has to be determined. No, again as usual, the same thing. OA, B will be a point B, the particle will come to each other. The same thing. The only thing is, okay, let's do one thing. What is tan phi? This angle phi, can we define anything? Tan phi should be equal to mg by QE, no? Because for it to move in a straight line path, let me, for it to move in a straight line path, tan phi should be equal to mg by QE. This is one very basic equation. Huh? Then only the resultant force will be along AB, no? For the resultant force to be along AB, so what is the required condition? So here it is like this. So tan phi should be equal to QE by mg. Okay, this arrows, I'll remove it. You'll find difficult. No, okay, after this. Okay, we'll get into that as usual. So time taken to move from A to B. So what will happen to horizontal component by the time it reaches here? Will become 0. 0 is equal to V cos phi minus QE by M TAB. Who will decrease the horizontal component of velocity? This V cos phi due to electrostatic retardation, QE by M TAB. And what is this V cos phi? This V cos phi should be equal to this U cos theta. So 0 is equal to U cos theta, V cos phi is equal to U cos theta. So substituting this equation here, I'll end up this one. So what is the time taken to move from A to B is equal to mu cos theta by QE. Time taken to move from A to B. Time taken to move from O to A, already we know it. That should be equal to x naught should be equal to U cos theta into TOA. So what is TOA? X naught by U cos theta. And what is TAB? Mu cos theta by QE. And already we have calculated just previous discussion 2u sin theta by g. Solving for E, we'll get this answer. Of all, this is very important idea. Without this, I think will be very difficult to manage. Yeah, I have one more. In the presence of, there's a wedge, or is calling this as a prism. In the presence of uniform horizontal electric field E, a small non-conducting disk of mass m and charge mass m1 and charge q is released on a non-conducting triangular prism. So what is this? This is a prism. This is that small disk. This is what that disk. Fine. M2 placed on frictional horizontal floor. So the surface is smooth. And the quotient of friction between it and the disk is mu. Okay, this surface is rough. If the disk accelerates up the slant face, find the acceleration of the prism. He's asking to calculate this E2, acceleration of the prism. Let me indicate this one. No. What are the various forces that are acting? mg sin theta or m1g sin theta. Then, as himself is telling that the disk is moving half the incline relative to prism. So therefore, this will be AR. So the friction will act down the incline. M1G cos theta. Then as it is a positive charge, the electrostatic force will be Fe. The normal contact. I'm discussing the motion of the disk with respect to the prism. So therefore, pseudo force. So what is AR? Acceleration of disk with respect to prism. What is A2? Acceleration of prism. And what is the M1A2? M1A2 is pseudo force. I shown by thick arrow, blue color one. You can see here. Okay, now along the incline. First, along the incline, we'll define the forces. Component of this Fe cos theta. I'll resolve this. This will be theta, no? So therefore, this will become Fe cos theta. Now, what are the forces? Fe cos theta, M1G sin theta, component of pseudo force, M1A2 cos theta along the incline. Because this total angle will be theta. Total angle will be theta. So how much it will be? M1A2 cos theta along the incline minus F equal to M1AR. There's a one equation. Then perpendicular to incline N plus M1A2 sin theta minus M1G cos theta minus Fe sin theta equal to 0. Perpendicular to incline. Then on the prism, we'll see this. This N is acting normal contact by the prism, by the disk on the prism. Component of that N sin theta should be equal to M2A2. N sin theta plus also component of friction will act. No? Now what is this friction? By disk on the prism. What about this friction? By the prism on the disk. Action reaction equal and opposite, or force will always occur in pair. So what is this F? This friction is by the disk on the prism. This is by the prism on the disk. So what are the forces acting on the prism? N sin theta, F cos theta equal to M2A2. And in turn, what is F? F equal to mu N. Substituting this and solving for N from here. Substituting this N here. And solving for A2, we'll get the required answer. Okay, this N. So actually this N. So A2 is equal to this much. Now this value of N, you're going to substitute, solve it, you'll get the acceleration of the prism. I have one more problem. Last, we'll finish off that. Some again the torque idea. A thin insulating rod is hinged about one of its end. It can rotate on a smooth horizontal surface and horizontal plane. The charge density on the rod is defined as, for half of the length, the charge density will be λ1 ax square. You see this. For remaining half of the length, the charge density is given by minus b x to the power of n. What do you mean by negative sign here? Negatively charged. The first half is positively charged and the second half is negatively charged. Then we do have uniform electric field directed here. Plane and perpendicular rod is switched on. Find the values of B and N if the rod has to remain stationary. Okay, now what is the method? I'll assume a small element at a distance x from the inch. Okay, this is what? the inch. Got it? There's an inch. Once again, I'll write it. Okay, there's an inch. Now, what is the torque due to that one? D tau, it should be anti-counterclockwise. Torque on the positive charge on the rod is what we are defining. So that should be equal to dF1 into X. What is dF1? E into dQ1. What is further dQ1? Lambda 1 into dx. What is lambda 1? Given data, ax square dx. So till where the positive charge is present from x equal to 0 to x equal to L by 2. So the limits are 0 to L by 2. Integrating, solving, we'll get the torque. How is this torque? Counterclockwise. We know the force is upward and the x is horizontal. So the torque about 0.2 should be counterclockwise. This is R bar, this is F bar. How the torque should be? Torque should be counterclockwise. If this is R bar, this is F bar. So how the torque? If this is then how the torque? Torque should be clockwise. Now some rough idea I'm giving. Okay, now let's proceed in the similar way. So let me assume a small element of length dx. Then torque on this will be df2 into x. Let it be still x only. I'll remove this so that. Please notice the limits. It's very important. I assumed a small element of length dx. This will be df2. Let it be x only, the limit. So what is the charge here? Negative charge. This is a positive charge. So df2 into x should be the limit. So it should be the torque. And how it will be? It will be clockwise. So what is df2? E into dq. dq equal to lambda 2 dx. Further, lambda 2 is what? Given by this minus bx to power of n. Only substitute magnitude. Already the sign we have taken care. Okay, then everything after integrating, so we'll end up with x to power of n plus 2. The limit should be L by 2 to L, no? Because x equal to 0 to x equal to L by 2, x equal to L by 2 to capital L. Solving, I'll get the top 2. And for equilibrium of the rod, what we can assume? The net torque should be 0. So solving that, we'll end up with this answer. Then afterwards, he's asking find the hinge force at the. He's asking to calculate this hinge force. So what is the method we have to do? The net positive force on the positive part of the rod, the net force acting on the negative part of the rod. I'll calculate these two forces by this formula. Then I'll substitute here. Then I'll calculate the hinge reaction will be in fact 0. Okay. Okay, we had a nice discussion about some very good lengthy application problems. So why I just picked the problems is like the torque due to electrostatic force, some SHM, some kinematics one we have brought it because it's a very generalized topic. especially this F equal to QE bar. It's a very generalized line. You can take you to the any way, means you can bring electrostatics with kinematics, electrostatics with laws of motion, you might have seen, electrostatics with work point G, electrostatics with friction, electrostatic with center of mass, electrostatic rotation mechanics. Today you have seen electrostatics, SHM. I can introduce this idea of electrostatics in any other topic. It's called like a mixed concept, and numericals of that kind are very important for advance. So that's why I just picked up some few numericals so that a student will get an idea. So you practice some numericals which are available in the different textbooks so that you'll get still more better idea, and you'll get a confidence. Oh, yes, I can manage on my own some numericals of mixed concept. Okay, agreed. This one. So this was my idea, that one. So I because it's become like a good revision for you. You are studying, you know, electrostatics, Coulomb's law, you know, F equal to QE, you know. So here nothing but like now little bit of SHM, some 4-5 problems we have done, some kinematics we have brought it, some torque idea. So it'll become like a revision of the other concepts. When you do mixed concepts, no. So what this mixed concepts will do is like it will make you to recollect the concepts which you learned earlier. It will be like an advantage for you. So please do put effort for on solving the numericals of mixed concept. It will become like a revision for you. This was my methodology. And you check the advanced paper. The professor is really interested in testing students with a mixed concept. You check it, that one. I don't want to say like a bluff anything. Just take the advanced paper. There are so many good number of numericals are there based on mixed concept. So better you have opportunity. So why don't you learn them so that in exam you'll be more comfortable, or you go for Olympiads, or you go for any other best university exams in the world related to physics. Definitely they'll try to trouble you with mixed concept questions. May not be all, 40%. So you'll be in a better position. Okay, take it as a challenge and try to work out. Okay, try to practice few more numericals on your own. Okay, bye, see you. Thank you for your patience and showing interest in learning physics. Okay, again, we'll meet in the next class. Okay, bye, kids. See you. Take care, bye.